The silent signal before wealth. Before wealth arrives, something inevitable happens. It is a silent signal, subtle but incredibly powerful. And those who fail to recognize it almost always give up just one step before success. Napoleon Hill, after decades of studying the world's greatest millionaires, revealed that fortune never arrives randomly, like a lottery prize falling from the sky. It always comes with a warning, a test, a sign. And this sign, when misunderstood, becomes the dividing line between those who succeed and those who spend their lives blaming luck. Today, you are going to understand what this signal is, how it appears, and why it always precedes prosperity. And when you finally learn to recognize it, your financial and spiritual life will never be the same again. If you feel you are close to something big, stay here until the end, because what you are about to hear could change your destiny forever. There is a trap that almost everyone falls into when they are on the edge of greatness, the test that comes before wealth. Napoleon Hill discovered that riches do not appear out of nowhere. They are always preceded by a storm, a setback, or a test. And it is in this moment that most people surrender. Why? Because they confuse the sign with failure. But the truth is exactly the opposite. That storm, that chaos, that resistance is not the end, it is proof that prosperity is near. Hill explained that every significant achievement is always preceded by a moment of great confusion, pain, or adversity. Not as punishment, but as preparation. The universe, or God, if you prefer, never places blessings in the hands of someone who is not yet ready to carry them. Between the moment of desire and the moment of manifestation, the test appears. It may arrive as loss, as betrayal, as financial crisis, as doors closing all around you. But everything has a purpose, to force your evolution, to refine your mind, to test your conviction. Have you ever felt that the moment you decided to change your life, everything suddenly started to go wrong? That wasn't the end, it was the beginning. Because that is how wealth operates. It never comes without warning. It comes after the sign. Those who pass through it with faith and intelligence receive more than just money. They receive spiritual authority. The crisis that precedes conquest is the filter that separates dreamers from achievers. The ones who recognize the signal continue forward, the ones who misinterpret it give up. And this moment of decision changes everything. Napoleon Hill taught that wealth is not only about money. It is, above all, a state of mind, an elevated consciousness, a vibrational frequency. And before you can step into that frequency, the mind must be cleansed of the beliefs that have kept it trapped. That is why the signal that precedes wealth almost always comes as discomfort. It breaks down inner structures. It forces you to let go of old habits, toxic friendships, and small thinking. And yes, it hurts. Change hurts. Growth hurts. Evolution hurts. But remaining stuck costs far more. The subconscious mind, as Hill described, is like fertile soil. It will accept whatever you plant. But before you can plant wealth, you must uproot the roots of poverty. And that uprooting often comes in the form of losses. You may lose a job. A relationship may end. A project may collapse. But none of these events are punishment. They are part of the preparation. The ground is being plowed so a new seed can be planted. The question is, do you see that moment as an ending or as a beginning? Those who see it as an ending quit. Those who see it as a beginning are transformed. And transformation is the preparation for prosperity. The pain of today is the seed of tomorrow's abundance. From chaos to clarity. Napoleon Hill revealed something surprising. The sign that precedes wealth may arrive disguised as chaos, but inside it carries direction. Those who are attentive, who cultivate inner listening, will perceive it. Amid the confusion, there is always a whisper, an idea, an inspiration, a calling. This is when what Hill called a definite decision is born. Wealth does not respond to the indecisive. It flows toward the determined. The signal, when properly understood, does not generate external clarity, but internal clarity. It is as if, in the middle of pain, an unshakable conviction arises. I will continue. I will win. This faith, this inner certainty, is what activates the invisible forces of the universe in your favor. You may not yet have money, support, or structure. But if you have a clear decision, you already hold half the wealth in your hands. Hill observed that most of the millionaires he interviewed were not the smartest, nor the most privileged. They were the most decided. They were the ones who made firm choices in the middle of chaos. The ones who saw opportunity in the storm. The ones who recognized the signal and responded with action instead of fear. Are you ready to decide for real? Because the decision is the beginning of the harvest. There is a brutal difference between those who merely wish for wealth and those who are truly ready to receive it. And Hill knew this. He taught that wealth only responds to those who already behave as prosperous people, even before a single dollar enters their pocket. This is another aspect of the signal. It reveals how you react when everything still seems to be going wrong. Because if you act like a defeated person while waiting for victory, it will not come. But if you act as though you have already won, then victory will run toward you. This behavior is what Hill called applied faith. Belief is not enough. Faith must be acted upon. It means speaking as someone who already has, thinking as someone who already is, walking as someone who already possesses. The universe does not respond to desperation, it responds to the vibration of abundance. The danger, however, is that the signal will try to convince you of the opposite. You will begin to doubt. You will compare yourself to others. You will feel as though you are falling behind. And this is the precise moment when you must do the opposite. You must hold firm, reaffirm who you are, and act as if everything is already aligned, because it is. You just have not arrived there yet. Those who behave like the wealthy in their minds will attract wealth in reality, at the right time. Hill reminded us that the universe does not reward the fastest, but the most resilient. And this is why the signal before wealth almost always comes with resistance. That feeling that nothing is working, that you are alone, that your efforts are meaningless. But that resistance is the test. And it comes for everyone. Those who succeed are not the ones who never felt fear, exhaustion, or doubt. They are the ones who continue despite those feelings. Resistance, Hill said, is like weight that strengthens the muscle. It exists to build your capacity to maintain high frequency even when the environment is against you. This consistency of spirit is what separates dreamers from doers. You are tested in little so that you may be promoted to much. And that period of little, of silence, of struggle, of exhaustion, is the clearest signal that abundance is near. You are not being punished, you are being prepared. Gratitude, character, and mission. One of the deepest teachings of Napoleon Hill is the role of gratitude before manifestation. He affirmed that a grateful mind is fertile soil, and that thanking for what has not yet arrived is the greatest act of faith anyone can practice. This confuses human logic. How can you thank for something you do not yet have? But in spiritual logic, that gratitude is the very frequency that calls the future into the present. Gratitude is a code, a password, a key. When you say, "Thank you," with a sincere heart for a victory you have not yet seen, you are sending a clear signal to the universe. I trust the process. I recognize the promise. I know it is already done. This attitude unlocks miracles, shifts atmospheres, and opens hidden doors. Hill insisted, cultivate an attitude of constant gratitude. Wake up thankful. Go to bed thankful. And above all, give thanks for difficulties. Because they are not obstacles, they are the tools that shape your next stage. Be grateful for the delays, the rejections, the silence. Each one is repositioning your trajectory towards something greater. But gratitude is only one layer of the signal. Another is the test of character. Before wealth arrives, you will be tested with shortcuts, temptations, and seemingly easy opportunities. These are the most dangerous signals because they do not come as pain, they come as options. And shortcuts almost always lead to traps. True wealth is built on integrity, principles, and alignment between thought, word, and action. Hill noted that many men lost everything right on the edge of becoming millionaires, not for lack of talent, but for lack of moral firmness. They passed the test of patience but failed the test of character. This is why, when you are closest to harvest, tempting shortcuts appear. Fast money. Easy deals. Doubtful invitations. These are the final obstacles, the last filters. The universe is asking you, do you want temporary prosperity or eternal legacy? Your answer is not in your words but in your choices. The true signal that you are ready for wealth is when you say no to what would take you away from it. And it is at this moment that another layer of the signal reveals itself, the birth of mission. Hill declared that no one sustains true wealth without understanding purpose. Fortune without mission becomes a prison. But fortune aligned with mission transforms generations. This is the final signal before abundance manifests, a sudden clarity about why you do what you do. You begin to realize that you do not want riches only for yourself. You want to impact, to change the reality of your family, to serve others, to leave a legacy. When this clarity is born, everything flows with more ease. Resources appear. Ideas flow. Allies arrive. Because purpose is magnetic. And mission, when embraced, accelerates manifestation. Preparation, environment, and the final piece. Napoleon Hill was clear: wealth never arrives in the hands of those who are not emotionally prepared. And that preparation does not come from diplomas or books. It comes from experiences. From nights without sleep. From hard decisions. From failures and recoveries. This is what he called inner maturity. When you understand this, you begin to see the process differently. Suffering is not punishment, it is formation. That is why the signal that precedes wealth is so disorienting. It pushes us to our limits, removes our crutches, and forces us to grow. And often, it isolates us. Because true growth, the kind that precedes great conquests, happens in silence. It happens away from applause. It happens in the unseen. And it is there that you learn to sustain yourself by faith alone. Hill affirmed that emotional maturity is the invisible foundation of every lasting fortune. Without it, you will sabotage everything. You will spend recklessly. You will trust the wrong people. You will drown in pride. The universe, in its wisdom, only releases what you can sustain. And this is why the signal comes, to ask you one final question: are you ready not to be corrupted by what is coming? If you are under pressure, you are being shaped. And that is a privilege. Another key aspect of the signal, Hill explained, is the environment. No one prospers alone. And no one prospers surrounded by voices of doubt. The signal before wealth often manifests when you begin to feel out of place in old circles. People leave. Friendships end. Partnerships collapse. And as painful as it is necessary. You cannot build the new surrounded by the energy of the old. Wealth is like a rare plant, it only grows in fertile soil. That is why the universe begins removing, filtering, cleaning. Not to punish you, but to position you. The environment around you mirrors the future you will live. And then, something unexpected happens. After the storm, the pain, the confusion, the resistance, the gratitude, the decisions, the mission, peace arrives. Nothing may have changed externally yet, but inside, everything has shifted. It is as if a voice whispers, "Now you are ready." This peace is not resignation. It is alignment. It is the frequency of certainty. It is the calm assurance that even if you cannot see it yet, it is already done. You no longer doubt. You no longer compare. You no longer despair. You know. And that, according to Napoleon Hill, is the final signal before wealth manifests. Wealth is not the end. It is the tool. It is not the miracle. You are. Because the greatest treasure you gain in this journey is not money itself, it is who you become in the process.